Call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
Oh, you're not on. You're not on.
It's not on.
There you go.
Hanson,
Here.
Terry,
Here.
Carr,
Here.
Cruz,
Here.
Frost, here, Guerra, Harris, Kennedy,
Here.
Lee, Natoli,
Here.
Peters, Cerna,
Here.
Gaylord, and Daniels. We have a quorum.
Gary's here too.
Yeah. And you want to call his name again?
Guerra,
Great.
got it.
So we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have Vice Chair Guerra lead us into the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we'll move on to the Air Pollution Control Officer's report.
Before we begin, can I read the playback statement?
Oh,
Can we do the consent?
You want to do that first? Sure, we can skip over. Go ahead and read the TV announcement.
The meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District is cablecast live without interruption on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast Consolidated Communications, and AT&T U-verse cable systems. This meeting is being closed captioned and will be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will be repeated on Saturday, May 27th, 2017 at noon on Channel 14. Members of the audience wishing to address the board should fill out a speaker form located on the table at the back of the chambers and give it to the clerk. Please speak into your microphone when addressing the board and state your name for the record. Also at this time, please silence your cell phones until the conclusion of today's meeting.
Thank you. It looks like we have an alternate for Mayor Lee down there. Councilmember Nguyen.
Good morning. Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So we have a request to move to the consent agenda, and we'll do the Air Pollution Control Officer's report following that. Do I have any opposition to that?
Can we
Well,
pull
hang
item
on. Do I have any opposition to going out of order? Okay. So we have the consent agenda before us. Do we have any items that need to be pulled?
Number 2, please.
Okay. Any other items that need to be pulled for the consent agenda?
No, just a question if I could. On the recommendations, it says pass a resolution, pass a motion. It's been that way for a few months. Isn't it just approve? Isn't that? Why do we say pass a resolution, pass a motion? It's the same. It's just a little awkward, I think, in the way it's stated. When you say the recommendation is to approve or to adopt, I think those are the words typically you would just.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. I mean, again, I just think it's kind of awkward wording.
Okay, we'll look at that.
Okay, yeah. No. Okay, thanks.
I'll move
So
the
I have a
consent calendar
so I have a request to pull item 2, and
Move the consent calendar.
so we have a motion to approve the rest of the consent calendar.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries. So we'll move on to item 2 of the consent calendar.
I don't
Director
know
Hansen?
if we should have a staff presentation, but I'm fine just going forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a great honor this morning as the now hopefully former chair of the search committee to appoint a new executive director, air pollution control officer, to announce that Alberto Ayala, who currently is the Deputy Executive Director at the California Air Resources Board, is our committee's choice to succeed Larry, who's been a tremendous asset to us. But we believe that Larry, the board's legacy, your legacy, and the legacy of our staff is in very good hands with Alberto. Alberto, it's been a pleasure getting to know you through the process. We have the utmost confidence in you. Your energy, your passion, and your vision for clean air and healthy communities is very inspiring. So on behalf of the committee and now being relieved of my duties, I'd like to make a motion to approve the item 2 on the agenda to appoint you as the new Executive Director of the Air Quality Management District.
I'm going to second the motion and offer my congratulations as well to you, Dr. Ayala. I think I probably know you the most or the best from this board just because of our working relationship over the last 4 years at the California Air Resources Board, and during that time I've come to know you as a consummate professional and someone that I think has not only demonstrated that you've invested yourself completely in your chosen profession, but that you're always looking for more to do in that respect. And so you've told us many times during the search process that that you're looking to be the captain of your own ship, which I think was a very apropos way to remind us of your intent. And now you're going to have that opportunity. And I really look forward to working with you in a new capacity. I have every confidence in you that you're here to take this air district to the next level. We have been so fortunate under Larry Green's leadership over his tenure to get to the place that we are relative to being, I think, a very respected air district from across California. Certainly Larry in his own respect has earned a great deal of respect over years of work from his peers, other air pollution control officers, and so I'm feeling very, very good today that we made the right decision, and would look forward to hearing from you if you're ready to give us a few of your words.
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm going to keep it really brief, but obviously I cannot thank you all enough for having the confidence in me. It's been, as you can imagine, any new job is very exciting, very emotional, but I did not hesitate a moment to take on this new challenge, because you are going to see that I will become quickly a tireless champion for the vision of this district, because that vision is clean air for all. I often say clean air is not a privilege, it's a right. And Sacramento has got so many good things going. This is my home. This is where I want to be. And as I said through the process, I'm really excited to be part of the great change, the new energy that is happening here as we continue to protect public health, first and foremost, because clean air is a public health priority, but also to play a bigger role on the climate stage. So many things are happening that are good for our region. And I just very much want to thank you all for the process. It's been great fun, and I really look forward to obviously working with you all. Big shoes to fill. Larry really put the district on the map, and I'm looking forward to taking as much feedback and input from him as we can, so that we can keep moving forward. So again, just want to thank you for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to it.
Great, thank you. And then before we take this vote, I want to publicly thank Councilmember Hansen for his leadership, serving on the search committee and helping us navigate through, I think, we were fortunate to have a number of good candidates to select from, great candidates, and with your tireless effort, we got to a place I think we can all reflect back on as being the appropriate next step for this district. I also want to thank the chair of this board, Donald Terry, and Councilmember Guerra, our vice chair, all four of us and others spent, Donatoli, Steve Lee as well, for spending extra time and energy to make sure that we were applying a very thoughtful process to a very important selection. So thanks to all.
Yeah, I would just echo, again, welcome. We're very excited. Well, we're going to take a vote in a sec. But thank you again to Larry for all of your leadership. And I think when I was appointed vice chair, you told me you were going to retire last year, so and then you gave me another year, so I had to be chair, but I didn't let Steve out of off the hook of chairing that search committee that I had intended on him doing anyways. So thank you, Steve, for all of your work over the last few months in getting us here. And again, Supervisor Natoli and Cerna and Mayor Lee and everybody else that got us to this point. So with that, I have a motion. I have a second. Should we have a roll call for this one? Let's go ahead and do a roll call.
Aye.
Your mic's not on. Your mic's not on.
There.
Okay. Carr?
Cruz?
Aye.
Frost?
Aye.
Guerra?
Aye.
Harris? Kennedy?
Aye.
Lee?
Am I voting for him? Aye.
Yes.
Natoli?
Aye.
Peters? Cerna?
Aye.
Gaylord? And Daniels.
Carr was an aye vote. I didn't hear you call it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carr?
Aye.
Motion.
Do a quick photo.
Yep. So motion carries. Congratulations.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Members of the search committee, do you want to come down? Or whoever?
Well, maybe the whole board ought to come down.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on down. Come on, get some exercise.
Still not short enough. He does By the way, you're going to have to get used to the seat. Well, you place the stature thing every time. It's always in front. Oh, there you go. I play the best one. Alberta. You guys are off. Alberta, Scott, this way. Yep.
Kathy, thank you too.
Thanks, Phil. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. We have an appointment scheduled this evening.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. If we need to do that, of course.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we've got. Yeah, we have 8. Okay, actually, we have more. I can't count. 9.
You have 9. You're good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, with all the pomp and circumstance passed, let's go to the Air Pollution Control Officer's report.
Yes, if you bring up the air pollution, the first presentation.
There you go.
Just had a few things to cover. Let's see if this works. Yeah, there we go. Update on statistics. I want to talk a bit about the events and then talk about a couple of new employees that we have. You have in your folder a set of statistics. We are providing this information to the board in response to some questions that board members ask, and this is part of a continuing conversation that we intend to have with board members. You will see in there a presentation which shows the district staffing as compared to the Sacramento County. It's based on population data there, and then we also wanted to present the population of people that would be in the pool of people that we would have coming in for employment and how that falls out. And then we also have it by gender and then by age category, so you can see those statistics. We are also working on a report that talks about how we internally at the district recruit and so our strategies for making sure that we are informing a diverse population about our job opportunities, and that will come back in July to the board. And we're also very happy to have any further discussions with board members if they want to have conversations with us about this. We've had a pretty darn good month here at the district. First, I wanted to talk about the EV school bus deployment. This was on May 12th at Martin Luther King Jr. Technology Academy. Our chair was the MC, and we had quite a distinguished list of people who wanted to speak about this. This was the largest electric school bus deployment in the United States. 29 school buses will be deployed in Sacramento, and they will serve Twin Rivers, Sac City, and Elk Grove Unified School Districts. And those routes will run through disadvantaged communities, and they're really nice buses, quite a leap from what the kids were riding before to what they're riding today. Some photos from those. Looks like a regular school bus, but it's air conditioned inside, and the kids actually will have cleaner air inside the buses than is outside on the roads. And the buses are so quiet that at 15 miles an hour they're supposed to play music below 15 miles an hour so that people know that a vehicle is coming. Oh. So we were thinking about, do they play the typical ice cream song, or do we have student of the month maybe gets to pick the tune for the month for all the school buses. So we had a little fun with that, but the kids were very excited to get on the bus. We took some of them for quite a long ride. I think the guy who was running the ride went further than was expected, and the principal was getting a little worried because the kids hadn't come back. but they were having a good time. So some of our speakers, kids.
Larry, when you say play music, do you play music that's heard on the outside or in the inside?
In the outside, so people outside can know that a vehicle's coming, because they're so quiet you can't hear. They want to be sure, especially around schools with a lot of kids and people running across.
Well, they ought to equip these buses with boom boxes then, right? No?
They actually have a mechanism to play music outside, so you can hear that.
So they can be ice cream trucks when the school's not in session.
Got it.
We had fun with the principal about what the kids might pick to play, so we'll see. The second event we had was car share. This was at Alder Grove Apartments. This program is designed to put electric vehicles in the hands of the most needy people in the area. 2 vehicles each at 4 locations. We had, again, a set of distinguished speakers, and it was really a nice turnout. And we know from the community meetings that the people that live there are very excited about this. 8 all-electric vehicles. Will also be giving 300 free car share memberships to residents. Some photos from the event. And I want to introduce, we also had, before I do this, we had a couple of other events that I wanted to mention and offer an opportunity. One event is that we've been talking about bike share with this board for a long time, a couple of years. And we actually rolled out a pilot program. There's 50 bikes. We think we have another 50 on hand in downtown Sacramento and West Sacramento in the middle of this month. And you can see those bikes out, and you can actually lease those and rent those and ride around town now. By November, we will have 800 Sobe bikes and 100 electric assist bikes that will be here. And I know that Councilmember Hanson and Harris were instrumental on the committee and at SACOG in moving this along over the last, well, I guess, year. And we've had some quite interesting meetings. And we had one other event, which was a community event that I think Councilmember Hanson wanted to mention.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. Well, first, I've been calling this the Larry Green Victory Tour because it started with the Breathe California event where Larry was given an award. I had the pleasure of presenting that. We then had it was like a Lifetime Achievement Award, I believe. We then had the EV program with the car share over at Marina Vista Alder Grove. Then we had the electric school bus rollout. Then we had the bike share preview launch, things that the district have worked on for years. And then the event I wanted to mention was our Sunday Street event on Broadway, which was part of the Open Streets movement that's going on around the nation. We had families, older folks, but everyone in between. We closed Broadway to cars for 4 hours this past Sunday, and our police estimate for attendance is about 4,000 people. But the Air District really played an important part in helping to sponsor that event. The event was mostly privately funded through donations and sponsorships, so I just wanted to say thank you for that. It was part of reshaping people's vision of the corridor as a lead up to our Complete Streets implementation and that grant to emphasize biking, walking, and it was great. So thank you for that. I know some of our staff were there. I saw them playing in the street, having fun, in a good way playing in the street.
They actually posted some pictures that we were looking at the district, and I wanted to mention that here in my report because I've had a lot of staff come to me and tell me how much fun they had and that was an important event. And the last thing I'd like to do is to introduce a couple of new employees. We have a new human resource officer, Lauren Nevis, and Lauren comes to us from United Business Bank. She started out her career as in hospitality. Lauren, let's see, wave your hand here. She started out her career working in hospitality, but she went pretty soon to work for the United Brotherhood of Carpenters in their HR office. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, a minor in business management from San Francisco State. After working with United Brotherhood of Carpenters, she went to the business development area, running a whole range of HR functions with United Business Bank. And when they were acquired, she was looking for other work, and we were very fortunate that she and we could make that connection. She comes to us very qualified, and she will do a great job as our Human Resources Officer here at the district. And the second person is Angie Amakri. Wave this way, Angie. Angie has been working in San Joaquin, but his hometown was here in Sacramento. He has a bachelor's degree in geology from Sac State and a master's degree in geology from CSU Bakersfield. He is very excited to be moving back up here to Sacramento, to his hometown. He's working with us as an air quality specialist, and he'll work in the area of the people that work with the incentive programs doing inspections and such as that. So we're very happy to have him. Typical of what we've been doing lately is the people that we're recruiting often have very good backgrounds of work from other organizations or other businesses when we're picking them up, and we're very fortunate to be getting such good pools of applicants that are coming to the district. So we welcome both of them, and I know that they'll have long and happy careers here at the Air District. And that's all that I have.
Sounds like Angie's going to shorten his commute by about 100 miles a day. I mean, it's a round trip.
Any questions for the control officer? Nope. Okay. We'll move on to public hearings, the fiscal year 2017-18 proposed budget and fee schedule.
Good morning, Chair Terry and board members. My name is Jamil Moons. I'm the Administrative Services Division Manager for the district. It's my pleasure this morning to share with you the proposed budget for fiscal year 17-18. I'm just going to cover a few things. It's going to be a fairly brief presentation since last month we had a fuller presentation on the budget at our first public hearing. So I'm going to recap briefly what we discussed at that hearing, review the anticipated changes that we have incorporated into the final budget. We mentioned those, and I'll revisit those. And then just share with you the actual proposed budget and the fee schedule for today. So at our meeting last month, we talked a little bit about the district initiatives and priorities, those being, of course, meeting our air quality goals and tracking and watching closely the legislation and influencing that. We have some major transitions in our leadership that are going to be over this next year, so managing those smoothly. Those are some key priorities, as well as continuing our collaborations with a lot of our key partners. We talked about the budget process, that this starts early in the calendar year. We pulled together some proposed numbers for the next year. We meet with our budget committee of the board in February. We met with them again in March and reviewed it with some more detail, and then brought it to this board in April, and now coming back in May asking for the final approval. We shared with you the 3 different funds that we have at the district, the operating, the Colville building, and emission technology, described those a little bit in more detail, and then identified the changes that we had seen from the budget that was presented to you in April as to the one that you have in front of you today. We shared with you the proposed fee schedule, and we had a very good recommendation from Director Natoli to share a comparison of those fees, and we did provide that in this packet, so we hope that was helpful to see those changes in the proposed fee schedule. And then finally, we mentioned that we are implementing a new financial system, and that next year our budget may look a little bit different as we're revising our chart of accounts and the way our funds are looking. So wanted to just give you a heads up on that project, and we're all very excited about that. These were the changes, just recapping from what the budget was presented in April to what's presented to you now in May is roughly a difference of about $400,000, and that's reflecting the fact that we were finishing up our class and compensation study. We were adjusting for the COLA. We had presumed a 2%, and the actual numbers came in, and the index at 3%. And we also wanted to allocate a little bit more money, that $20,000 for collaborations, given some of the shifting tides at the federal level and here at the state level. So those were all presented last month, and they have been incorporated. So here is our proposed budget. It is just under $49 million at $48.9, roughly $500,000 less than our budget last year. A little detail about the operating fund revenues. The biggest adjustment, again, they're down slightly. The biggest adjustment is in our federal and state grants. We have a couple of grants that are finishing off, our air toxic grants and our DERA grants, our on and off-road grants, as well as we made an adjustment down for some expected EPA money coming into the next year, and that is what's reflecting primarily on the decreased revenue side. On the expenditure side, we are up on the salaries and benefits side, reflecting the new contracts, employees' pay adjustments, and the COLA, as well as health care and some retirement costs. PERS has informed us that some of their returns aren't as healthy as they had expected, and so we're absorbing that over the next several years, so that's creating a bit of an increase for us in that category. Our services and supplies are down, and that's primarily for professional services contracts and agreements. And then in our capital expenditures, we have completed a lot of the procurement of our IT that we had anticipated, and we're moving to a new model, which is more of a hosted solution for some of our technology. So we're actually able to reduce that budget down from what was originally projected. Our Colville Building Fund is the fund that manages our administrative building. It's essentially a status quo budget. Our capital expenditures are down slightly. We finished the majority of our improvements in the building this past year, have some additional ones to do, but we're seeing a little bit of savings in that fund for this year as well. And lastly is our Emission Technology Fund. This is the fund that strictly manages incentive dollars, so there is no labor in this budget. It's strictly the amount of money that we bring in to send back out to folks that are trying to improve their emissions in the vehicles and other projects we have in that fund. With the proposed fee schedule, I just want to clarify that what's asking to be proposed today is just the 2.2% to certain fees that's allowed by the rules, not the 5-year board-approved fee increases that was approved 5 years ago. We are in the last year of that, but that has already been approved. You do see that reflected in the fee schedule comparisons. However, those fees have already been approved, so the only fees we're asking for today is the adjustment of the COLAs of the 2.2%. The last item I have is before I ask to close here, is that you have an Exhibit 3 that was distributed. It looks like this. It has a schedule. I wanted to mention that very late in our review of the budget, we identified a discrepancy and error. It was in the current year's budget. Then when we carried that over, we identified that. It is for the FY 16-17 approved budget, so the budget this year. The bottom line number is correct. It matches the budget and what was approved, but the distribution amongst the divisions was off. So we're asking that be corrected, and that you can see the corrected numbers here, the amended budget for just the division. So it's an allocation of where the funds went on the division was incorrect in the budget book, and we would like to have that corrected. So that those correct numbers flow through into 18, but it does not affect at all the budget that we're proposing for FY18. It's only to correct the current year's allocation of those, distribution of those funds. So with that, I would respectfully ask that the board conduct a public hearing, open and close that, and then upon closing that, adopt a resolution incorporating Exhibit 3 into the resolution, and then approving that resolution, which would approve our budget, the fee schedule, and the amendment to the FY17 division budget. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Let me first go ahead and open the public hearing. Any questions for staff from the board?
Yes.
Director Natoli?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Jamil, for including the fee schedule as one of the attachments. Question I have is, why such a big fluctuation in the hourly fees? They have quite a range. In one case, for agricultural source, it's $136 an hour. For engine registration, it's $165 an hour. For greenhouse gas program, it's $196 an hour. So why, again, you may have different folks that work on those, I get that, but that's a pretty wide range of hourly rates in addition to obviously the base fees. And so why is that? Is that a budgeting, or is that because of the staff that are assigned to those? So again, I just think that's a pretty big swing.
Well, when we do each of those over the years, we've had to justify based on the time it takes to do that particular effort for that particular business. Those are different kind of functions at the different. It could be some different people working on that, but it could take longer for, say, to do one kind of permit than another kind. So each of those had to be backed with a justification of hours. So those are, an artifact of at the time they did those. That's what the numbers came out to on those.
Yeah, I get the number of hours, but the hourly rate, I mean, that we charge, Larry, versus whatever time it takes to do it. I mean, there's, you've got, $60 an hour difference between some of these.
Director Natoli, I don't know the answer right now. I'd like to get into that and dig into a little more. What my assumption is that, and we may have staff here that knows that, but I think it also could include where it's a flat hourly rate. Behind the scenes, it may involve additional staff. It may be multiple staff working on that. So
yeah, I presume that, but when you fully load something, obviously your overhead stuff gets built down. It's going to be pretty level because you only have one site. Some folks have to go out. Some of these may require. But I mean, they say monitoring inspections, additional time, and they all kind of use that same header. And again, I asked the question to make sure we're not backing into an hourly rate in order to cover a certain segment. It needs, the nexus beyond obviously the time it takes. I'm not questioning that because obviously you do that calculation based upon that. But how you got to the hourly rate, and it's one thing if you were $5 or $10 difference, but in one case it's 136, another one's 196, and that's 30% difference, and that's $60 an hour, more. So.
Dave says that there's good reasons for each of those.
Okay.
We'll get back to you and cover those.
That's fine.
The first answer will be that when we adopted those were adopted over a wide range of time, and in 1 year hourly, and then we could do a COLA on that, but it started from a much lower place than the other when we, like 10 or 15 years later when the next hourly rate was adjusted. But we will get a specific answer for each of those.
Okay, that's great. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, we do not.
Okay. So with that, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Move the motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could say something
Yep.
about, I would like to thank the staffs that's worked on this particular board meeting, although it's a short board meeting, has 6 months worth of work from a lot of people involved in this. Not only the recruitment, but the budget development and the work on the class and comp study and the work on the contracts with the employees. Not only were our staff and the board members involved in this, but the employees put a lot of work into this. And the Employees Association and their negotiating team and their board really, really helped make our final product a lot better than what we started out with. So I very much appreciate and want to recognize officially all the people, and we're going to have some celebrations at the district with different staff people who've worked so hard, but I wanted to acknowledge that publicly, the great work that they've done. And since this is the last meeting that I will sit here as APCO officially, because our new APCO will take over in July, and then I'll be in an advisory role after that, I think. I wanted to thank this board for all the great work over the years, and I wanted to thank the staffs that I've worked for. It's been a tremendous journey, and I know that people have said, you know, Larry's done these things. Larry hasn't done these things. All the people that I work with have done these things, and the board has given us the permission to do those things. And the other colleagues and people we work with in the region have supported that and made our efforts better because we've had a collaboration of people. So it's been a wonderful experience. I said at one time that when I left the Army, I never expected to find another career where I would have the passion and the interest and the professionalism that I found in the military. And in the air quality community, people we work with at the local, the state, and the federal level, I have found that comradeship and that dedication and caring about what they do for a living. And it's been a wonderful opportunity. And when we come back in July, Alberto will be sitting here and I'll be assisting him. But it's been my privilege to do this. And thank you for the opportunity over these years.
Thank you. Director Hanson had some comments?
Yeah, my coffee's catching up to me. I neglected earlier to thank our district council, Kathy, Jamil, Moans in particular, for their work on the search, as well as Heather Rentschler from Ralph Anderson. It was a tremendous amount of work. Selena, thank you for helping put together the crazy special board meeting at 7 a.m. to do interviews. And Jamie, thank you for the work that you've done on the media side. I do think Larry, just in the 2 years I had the honor and pleasure of chairing, I saw how, you're right, this is a group effort, and you may be sort of the coach, to use that metaphor, but the team you have is really phenomenal, out there working every day, delivering not just on the day-to-day responsibilities, but especially on some of those complicated special projects. And the bike share rollout is a tremendous opportunity to reflect on how that work started here, was developed here, and then in partnership through SACOG was able to roll out across the 3 cities through this preview, but the full launch this fall. So it really is a wonderful group, and Alberto believes that he's lucky to be the helm of that ship or the captain of that team. But I know from day one he will firmly be ensconced in a loving team that will make us all very proud.
Mr. Chair.
Director Natoli.
Yeah, thank you. I certainly want to add some comments to what Director Hanson just said in a moment, but I wanted to be sure that for those of us that served on the air quality team and that the district sponsored at least a portion of our way back to the cap trip, I know that as a part of our responsibility, certainly as board members, both on this body and others, that we're required to have a report out. I didn't see any summation of that, and we can do a verbal report or a written report, so I don't know how we need to enter that into record. I'm cognizant of that. I've certainly done it at the Board of Supervisors level, as my colleagues have for the respective bodies that we served on. So, Larry, is there something that you enter into the record? Because some of us, again, we're sponsored by the district, at least in part, and I want to be sure that we correctly reflect that in the record, because there is a responsibility report out anytime a trip and/or effort is sponsored by a public body, and I want to be sure that was done.
We will have a report. We had a meeting last week of the team, the people that were there. Valley Vision is putting that together, summary of all the meetings and things that we did and such.
Okay, because there is a requirement within 30 days to make sure that's put forward on the record for anytime we travel on public at public expense. And I just want to be sure that might be something to note for the future too, Kathy, that again, it doesn't happen real frequently, but I know there are conferences that we go to and so forth, and that's up to us individually, but I'm cognizant of that. I certainly thank the district for sponsorship, and I participated, as did a number of folks here at the dais on that team, and I know we'll have a summary. I just want to be sure, as far as reporting out, that obviously some of the expenses incurred by the district under the budget category, that's correctly reflected in the record, and that we did do the work on behalf of the district.
So when that's available, and it should be any day now, I will send that around to all the board members.
Okay, and maybe make it available on a website or as an addendum to the agenda. So I just want to be clear about that.
Okay.
Okay, and then just quickly, I know we'll have a chance maybe in even other settings to say our thanks and offer our best wishes to you. But I too want to say to you, Larry, that it's been an honor and a privilege, certainly from this side of the dais, but certainly to not only have known you, but to work with you, and certainly the folks with the district, many who are in the audience today, some who may have retired, and some who are just obviously coming on board who'll get a chance to work with. But your leadership has been stellar. It's been outstanding, and I think, again, your ability to motivate folks and certainly to mentor them is, I think, truly a real gift. It's been a gift certainly in your life and your professional career. It's been a gift to this district and to all who've been involved with you. And you've helped advance the cause certainly of clean air and all the aspects that go with that. But you're a gentleman and a scholar. You're someone who, again, I think is very adept at figuring out what the issues are, taking the various viewpoints, and then trying to bring that together in a way that provides meaningful public policy response, but also is sensitive to the realities of day-to-day life, and never compromising certainly on the public health aspect, but also recognizing that sometimes the journey is a long one. It requires many steps along the way. And so I think for your mentorship, for the work and the team that you've built here, it's a credit to this organization and to this community. And I thank you for your service and for your friendship, for your good work. And we'll get a chance to say goodbyes, as I say, in a different forum. But I want to thank you. You've helped advance this district in many, many ways, but have been a good friend of this community, and we honor you in many ways, but I just say thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'll just add, because everything else was said, congratulations on your retirement. Well deserved. So with that, do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay. Any board ideas or comments before we adjourn? Director Frost?
I just want to thank you, Larry, for not only for your leadership and but also for helping those of us who were some of us were new on the board. I came onto this board a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and you helped me, brought me up to speed on some very complex scientific material that I didn't understand. And I appreciated that you were right at the heart of what's important for our community and for public health and for the people. And I appreciated your staff and all the work that you all did to bring it down to layman's terms and help us convey that message out to the public in a way that helps people understand that this isn't just politics. This is real. This is making our communities better, and it's important. And I think you're going to be a hard act to follow. I know you are, and I know I'm going to miss you on this board, and I wish you all the happiness, and I hope you pop up somewhere else in the community working on some project with all of us.
Thank you. So before we adjourn, I'd like us to adjourn in the memory of a couple of elected officials that we've lost since our last meeting. One is a colleague of mine, Dan Scoglin. Another one is Mel Turner, who was actually a former chair of this organization. He was chair actually when I became a member of this board. So if that's okay, we'll go ahead and adjourn in the memory of Dan Scoglin and Mel Turner. And with that, we stand adjourned.